Hello guys and welcome back. So let's move on to the retopologizing of the hand. Let's venture a little bit more. So here what I want to do first before I move on to the palm will be how do I connect those fingers together, and they all have a loop in the middle. That loop goes down in the middle to the middle of the finger, that one. I'm gonna connect that loop in the middle too. Make sure you're using the right one because it's easy to make mistakes. Make sure that that's the loop going across the fingers. Why did I come down? Don't know why did I do that. So it's gonna be here and that. Okay, and then eventually here. Let's make sure that that's the one on the top. Okay, all right. So those are the ones. Oh, you know what? That's the one. Actually, I got that one wrong. It's being stupid. So here, this one and that one, right? So the connection will be actually this. So there and there. Okay. So it's easy to make that mistake. If you don't do that in the same way, then it will be inconsistent later on. Okay, so that's that part. And then what we can do is we can then go one more loop forward and finish a triangle there. So like that. Now why do we end up with a triangle? Well, because we want to have lesser loops in the future when we're doing the others, and we can also fix that triangle here at this area. So I don't want that triangle to be keep going. So that's why you will see how we do that in a moment. So all right. So what we want to do here then is have just one edge loop going towards the middle like this, and that's gonna be already kind of fixing the loop here between the fingers, right? But that's actually a ugly shape here though. So what we're gonna do here will be, let me actually soften the edge. So we're gonna actually use multi-cuts, go from here to the middle and keep going to the to the other side, and then to the middle of the triangle and connect it there, and do the same thing on the other side, and then one more going from here, and this one is gonna go all the way across. You can hold down with the mouse button to refine it. Going inwards, here, and then here, and to its end, and keep going. So you will see this kind of results happening on almost all the hand topology. If not complicated, then it's or you will see simpler ones that they just simply don't have this triangle. They just have everything go towards the middle of the palm. But this one is one of the ways that are popular across the board, so we're gonna do it this way. All right, let me do quad draw again just to maybe smooth that out a little bit. So this is how generally people would do this, to connect the fingers together and then go towards, go from the fingers to the palm of the hand, and that's how everything ends over here. All right. So of course this is not the only way, and you can venture more if you wanted to. I'm not gonna say this is the best way, but I'm gonna maybe add some edge loop here just to make the bending here easier to do. Okay, and then we can move on to the palm of the hand. So what I can do is just holding down the middle mouse and tap button to extrude out the faces. And you see we're ending up with lesser loops going down. We have a lot on the fingers, but because of those, we're redirecting them so they're meeting each other or canceling each other, if that's easier. So now you see we're ending up with a reasonable amount of loops that we can then extend to the palm. So here you can also do some tricky things, like for example, if you look at the actual sculpted hand, I have some bone structure here, right? Those kind of things can be represented here if you wanted to, depending on, of course, how detailed you want to be. So maybe we can do that here in this model, and that could mean that we don't need to have that actually. Otherwise we need to have more here, but maybe we can do that. So what I mean here is maybe what we'll need is something like this. So that we have more loop here, and that's gonna be the bump or the joint, right? Just like how we do elbow or the knee, and that goes, keep going, so that we'll have a bone structure that's represented instead of using normal map. And again, it's always better, it's always going to give you a better result if you use topology. Not always, but you know, for bigger shapes, noticeable shapes, that it will be better to have topology, because topology doesn't have stretching issue like textures have. Okay, so we can do this to really have that bone structure represented, and maybe we can make it ends up here so that it doesn't go all the way through the hand. So we still ends up with 2, in other words. Alright, so this is one of the approaches I think we could do. If we do that, we may choose to actually have that loop goes too, just to make a much more complicated shape like that. So I guess it's more or less like your choice again, and how do you want to go about it. So here, if I'm gonna do that, maybe I need to do the same thing on this one too. So it becomes this. So if I decided to do that at the very beginning, I may do the finger in a different way. I may have that on the finger already. So I'm just venturing a little bit more. I never really wanted to do this before because I'm lazy. But yeah, just for the pure purpose of experimenting and doing the tutorial, I'm actually going to do this so that we can see what this will end up with. Okay, I'm gonna maybe fast forward this part. Something that doesn't look nice here though is that maybe we can figure out how to do that, fix that later. Okay. Okay, so I did those things here. I'm just curious on if I really try to do everything here, if that's gonna be possible for me to still make it work eventually. I'm thinking that if I can fix the problem I'm having here, I might be able to do it. So let me smooth that out. Okay, so here, because that we all know that the joint is not going there, it's going maybe closer to there. Maybe I can have soft selection, just squeeze those ones inwards. Right, so the bone are going in like that. That way when I look at it, I really have those things. I even have that bump in the front. I can maybe refine it later. Just to, you know, try to make it a little bit more detailed, because we're doing sort of a little bit more advanced stuff here. So, oh, here, forget to do that part. Right. Okay. Now let's move on to what's happening on the back, or on the, in this case it's not the back anymore, it's like where does the index, sorry, the thumb comes in. So for the thumb, I'm gonna do maybe a loop for it first. It's always wise to create the loop first for any new structure, so that way when you are doing the connections, it's easier, because that loop is already there helping you to figure out what's happening around it, like this. Okay, and then let's take a look at this part here of the body. So that's the middle line here, right, across the fingers. So I want to be that to also be the line that's gonna be at the tip of my thumb, more or less. So I can figure out where that is. So maybe I can choose this one to be the line, and that means that line is sorry, this line here, that's the line, right? So that way when I double click that edge loop, it's gonna go across all the fingers, this edge loop here. Okay, and then I can then, based on that, you know, I can then figure out what's happening on the surrounding areas, and that's not gonna be a really hard thing to do, because I already have that figured out. So I just need to you know, figure out where the other penta vertex are. So here I may choose to keep doing yeah, just maybe have it happening there, and it's gonna rotate around. It's gonna be connected to that. Oh, not that one, actually I have one more. So this one having a loop going inwards, and that's gonna be connected to there. Just make it symmetrical. It's not hard to make it symmetrical from the front to the back, or the top to the back, whatever way you want to think about it. And then yeah, just have the loops, and then you connect your fill, or you fill in the middles, and that's it. That's the thumb. Okay. Now some people might think, okay, I want the loops going that way. We can maybe try that too. Again, as long as you have that much of a loop to represent that, that shouldn't be really hard to do the deformation, but we can of course try that. So by that, what I mean is we keep this loop going, this loop that is for the thumb. So we have one more now, and then maybe we can even make it keep going. Just make it looping around. The good thing about this is that because it's looping around, so that it will actually eliminate some of the loops that you end up with on the hand, if that makes sense. I don't really like that one though. So what's supposed to be happening is this one will be connected to there, and maybe then we have that. Okay, I'm just gonna destroy one of the loops I used to represent the side of the finger. Like those ones, they do have a complete loop, but I'm destroying the ones on the index finger, so it doesn't go. I cannot really do that for some reason, but yeah, this loop, so it doesn't go all the way around anymore because of that part of the structure. Okay, and so you know, sometimes it's always those trade-offs, like where do you go? So maybe I can make it go here instead, so I still have that loop. And here in the middle, I just need to connect those together. And for these parts, this part of the hand, we have a little winkle here. You can move your loops to there, and if you want it to be more visible, you can of course have one more loop there just to support that. But that loop can be over here in the front. So one of the solutions is that you delete some of the loops faces here, so you can only add a loop here in the back, and then you add one on the front here, so that way you're loosening it out in the front, if that makes sense. Okay. So that's this little part here, and you can even have one more here. You know, how much you will end up with will be dramatically depending on you now. As long as the shape is there, again, it's like use less but no lesser. Okay, so because I want to have a lot of detail on the hand, so I end up with a lot of loops, especially in the front. On the back, not that much, because no matter how much I do, I'm not sure I can represent all the winkles I need over here though. So some of those things might be needed to be done using, you know, normal map. All right. Anyway, so here one more thing I can do is I can have the loops going inwards like this. The reason I do that is because I know that its structure, right, is you know, a different area, and then I can have the other side doing similar things, so they go inwards like that. Actually, it's already doing that. I mean, it may not need to worry too much about it. Oh, yeah. So, one thing I want to. Yeah, that should be it. So this one keeps going and going, and then let me just have it end up like this. I think that's better than me trying to make it go in too much. Again, with or without this loop, it's not gonna make much of a difference, because you can always push loops closer together to force that shape to happen, more or less. So not that super important, as long as you have, you know, enough loop. You see, I'm having much lesser loop in the back but more on the front, because on the front I need those bone structures. On the back it's all smooth structures. There are a lot of smaller winkles, but I really don't want it to use my topology to do that because they're just simply too small. Alright, so that's the back and that's the front. And then I just need to finish at the sum and then maybe make the connections. So we'll do that in the next tutorial. Okay.